Hi, everybody. That's a great walkout song for this. Don't you agree? Let's hear it for the walkout song, right? Okay, so hi, I'm Debbie Ritchie, and I am thrilled to be here for a topic that I am so personally passionate about, but mostly because I am joined by three business community leaders who share a passion for this topic as well. So let me just kind of start with really why purpose in business makes such a difference. You know, I think most people think about how do we really develop a strategy in our business that'll be impactful so that we can do good. But what we need to understand is by doing good, you will do better. You will do well as a company if you make that commitment to this. And the theme of this conference, which I love, has been around individual and organizational and community. So if nothing else, I think for all of you, I'd ask, how do you think about your own individual connect to purpose in your businesses, and how do you bring that to life for the organization? And then how does it have an impact in the community such that it gives back to your business? And there is a way, a really impactful way to do all three of those things. It was interesting. By the way, wasn't the past keynote speaker terrific? Veronique was just awesome. One of the things, a simple comment she made, she said that they did a blog not just for the clients that they have, but for anyone who wanted to consume that knowledge. And as she said it, I thought that's really a values moment for that organization, because you have an opportunity to then talk about how doing more than serving just your client base really is a reflection of who you want to be and what you want to do as a company. If you're a business leader in this room, it's your job to make sure that the people who work with you understand that that's a values moment. So this morning, I want to really engage our panel. I want to really start high level. I want to talk about vision and values so that you're thinking strategically. But collectively, we all agreed that we did not want you to leave our session without one or two key takeaways that you could go back and implement in your business. And it may be simply rethinking. I just heard Kara in the back saying, I heard something today. You know, we're doing some of this, but we could do a few of these things better. Or maybe it's something you're not doing at all, and you have a wonderful opportunity to re-engage in a different way. So I had planned to introduce them all, but thanks to Matt, who did a terrific job, you all have a sense of who the panelists are. I would encourage you look in your programs. You'll also see more about their bios, because we, all four of us, want to offer to you that the discussion doesn't end on this stage at 11:15. We all want to make ourselves available. If you want to give us a call, if you want to have a cup of coffee, if you want to grab a lunch, if something that you heard that we're doing or that you'd like to do could also... Say what? Only if they buy?
Only if you buy lunch. Just kidding.
Okay, there's a qualifier. But seriously, let us know, because, again, we love the topic and we want to be a part of it with you, all right? So how's that? Did you do okay?
Great job.
Mike said, make sure they know.
You can just keep going. Just keep on going.
I really want to be a part of this. Okay, so I have a set of questions for them, and just as I proved by my opening, I'm going to go off script, right? So I do want to tell you we are going to reserve a little time for Q&A. So as you're sitting out there now, grab your pen and a sheet of paper, and if you hear something that you want us to go deeper on, or maybe there's a specific question you have, will you ask us that? Because this isn't about just talking to you. We want to hear from you. Maybe you also have an idea you want to share. Okay, so I said we were going to start by talking vision and values. as you each get started, maybe reintroduce yourself so they know who is who, right? But when we think about what community investment means to you, and that was the topic of our conversation, maybe it's for you personally or what it's become to your organizations. I'd love for you to share a little bit about why that's important for you from a vision and value standpoint. So, Mike, I'm going to start with you.
Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate it. Great introduction. So for us, my partners, Don and Steven, our personal mission shaped the mission that we wanted for our company. And that mission is really three things, and that's to honor God, to serve others, and to build peace of mind. And so for us, everything that we do is focused on helping other people, whether it's our employees, our clients, our partners, or even more importantly, our community. And so, there's two ways that we really accomplish that, investing in the community. The first is, of course, what we do every day, which is building buildings that make Pensacola a better place to work and a better place to live, which we're very proud of. One of the things we really started focusing on, though, 5 years ago, was the second element to building peace of mind, and that's giving back. And to us, it's giving back to this community, and it's such an important piece of what we do that it's actually one of our core values is to give back. And, the reason that I think it's critical for any business is that when you say you're going to serve other people, you actually have to show them that you're doing that. And the best way to do that for us is to actually work with organizations in this community that clearly need our help to help other people. And so, it shows our people and it shows the people that we work with that we actually mean what we say. And it really, we feel like it inspires our team, it inspires the project teams that we work with to want to get more involved. And so, for us, it's really been a game changer.
Love that. Kara, how about you?
Yeah, I think we were just talking backstage, and it's so amazing to be able to get out of your everyday work and come here and lift your head up for a little while and hear from other people, and I hope all of you are also feeling that value. And I said yesterday and today, even this morning, just this theme weaved in with purpose. And when I walked into the marketing meeting and we're talking about brand, I was kind of thinking nuts and bolts, like, right, I want to hear what's happening in marketing, but wow, did purpose really come through so strong in her presentation. And as we all talk about, our purpose as a company and as individuals, one of the things that I've connected with through the years, and I've learned some hard lessons, is I need to feel like there's a bigger story in what I'm doing every day, or it's not sticky for me. And what I think about with Landrum and what we're creating with our culture is that's the people that we want to be working at Landrum, is to feel that same way. And what does that mean for us? Because at Landrum, we can talk about our services that we do, and we do a lot of cool things. We do recruiting, and we do staffing, and we help people with HR issues. But at the end of the day, stepping back and taking a bigger view of what that means is we're involved in workforce transformation. And when we talk about that, it's not just our clients, it's an ecosystem that involves education, involves government, it involves public and private support. But all of that together and the specific things that we do as a business make our communities better. And I think when I first started at Landrum and I wanted to help work on specific things, and that's important, right? You've got to execute, you've got to work on specific things. And we've done that. But as a president now and as a leader, what I want to make sure that I communicate all the time to our employees, and they truly feel that way or they probably won't stay working with us, is we have a bigger role to play, and we can't just play it sitting in our desks, right? We have to be involved in the community, and that impact that we have is outside of us. It's even outside of our client base, but that ecosystem is what is going to make us all more successful. And so to me, that's true vision and values for Landrum and really for me as a person. And I think as I've learned through life, if I don't make that connection for myself, like I can't stay in a job. And
it's interesting, right? 88% of consumers say they expect businesses to be doing something with regard to social corporate responsibility. 66% of consumers say they're willing to pay more to know that a business is doing it. And the last statistic I saw around kind of how it impacts employees, which Kara was just speaking about, was like 93% of employees want to work for a company that invests in community. So when Mike talks about the importance of giving back, it would be highly unusual for his team not to want to also be giving back. So those are pretty impactful numbers for you to think about. So just as you're sitting in that chair, maybe reflect and say, would every employee in our company really know what our values are and what they mean? Would they really connect the work we're doing to why it matters for us as business, as an example? Those are things you can think about. Casey, add to it a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie. And for me, I've been at Baptist for 10 years now, and our mission is very simple. It's helping people throughout life's journey. That's it, helping people. Beginning of life, into life. That's why we exist. And the values that we have as an organization, ownership, integrity, compassion, excellence, service, these are values that every single one of our team members will be able to share with you. And about 10 years ago, Baptist very intentionally took a focus on what are we doing in the community. We're the only locally owned not-for-profit healthcare system in our community, so we look through things through a different lens. We measure thousands of things inside of the hospital: quality metrics, outcomes, financial stability, but we weren't measuring what we were doing in the community. And when we redid our strategic priorities now 6 or 7 years ago, I believe, now improve our communities is one of the 5 strategies of Baptist Healthcare. And I love that. I love that I'm a part of an organization where we intentionally focus every single day on how can we make our community a better place for everyone. I've been so blessed that every job that I've had in Pensacola has allowed me the opportunity to connect directly with and know that the work that I'm doing every day is improving the lives in our community. So it fits in so naturally with who I am, what I value, my personal values, and I just feel so blessed that our organization feels so strongly about this.
And Casey, I think, and we've talked about this, the behaviors of the employees, and I spent a lot of time at Baptist Hospital, and I'm always lost. I don't know how many of you have been to the new building. It's really cool, but I get lost all the time. And the amount of times someone walks me to where I need to go, right? Just doesn't stop and tell me about it. And I tell Casey, like, that is a visible, actionable sign of how they are living the values at Baptist. And I think that's like such a compliment to leadership when you hear people say, and I hear that at Landrum where they say, man, this Landrum employee, I can really tell how much they care about our community because of this. And that action speaks so much louder.
Well, and it starts from the top up, right? We, if leaders, if we aren't modeling it for others, how do we expect our frontline team members to do it? So we're very intentional from day one about making sure that every single new team member at Baptist understands and appreciates the fact that you were hired because you feel like someone that's a match for our mission and our values, and then we'll skill set you as we need to. But first and foremost, you have to be someone that agrees with and will live the values that we are expected to exhibit every single day.
Are we going to talk about this? Because I'm probably just going down a road. But I sat next to Mark Faulkner, our CEO, and I wanted you to share this because it's so cool. And I said, I hear there's one meeting you never miss.
Traditions. Every 2 weeks, the very first person every single new team member at Baptist hears from is Mark Faulkner. And the only thing he talks about is what our values look like in action and how they can live them.
But here's the thing, they can't become stagnant. So again, reflection moment for each of you. As you think about maybe you set values and sort of purpose for your organization. When's the last time maybe you revisited them? Because I heard you just say Baptists did that. How do you make sure that they don't just become words on a sheet of paper, but they really come to life? And that's our job as leaders, to really drive impact. So Mike, if you think about the folks here, maybe it'd be helpful for us. How many of you would say you really do this well as a business? Like, we've established a strong set of values. Our team members know what they are, and we are living it every day consistently. How many? Good.
Glad all the Baptist people raised their hands.
Do you all work for Baptists?
How many of you would say, this is really kind of an aha moment for me, that I think we could go back and revisit this and do this better? Okay, if you didn't raise your hand for either, we got work ahead of us on this stage, because we want to engage you to think like that. But Mike, I know we talked about giving folks some things that we would encourage they go do. Like, you talked about how impactful it's been for Hanto and Clark. What would you say you did just to get underway? Because clearly I think some folks need to do that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think that's the thing is, sometimes we try to overcomplicate it, and I know we did. So for us, it was to just start. And I think when you start out in a business, and we've been doing this for 11 years now, we realize we're very good at building stuff. That part, we've got it down to a science. It's the intangibles of running a business and leading a business that can be tough at times. And, one of the things we're very intentional with now is the messaging from our leadership team and how we cascade that down through the ranks of our people. And, again, for us, it was to stop sitting in a room and just talking about it, like Kara said, and go show up and start doing it. And, we were waiting to become the biggest and best construction company before we really talked about ourselves being the biggest and best construction company. You can't do that. You have to start talking about yourself and what's important to you and what you're trying to build and how you want to build it, not just, the outcome of your business, but the people and the team that you're building as well. And so, again, we were blessed to have a handful of mentors, many of whom are in this room, that said, guys, stop overthinking this and just get after it. And that's what we started to do. So we started showing up and doing the things that were important to not just us, but to our employees, to help motivate and inspire them to see, yes, we are giving back.
We had breakfast the other day at Another Broken Egg, and the server's like, y'all got to get out. I mean, we were there for a long time. It was awesome. But Mike, I love one thing that you shared with us about how it doesn't have to be big, right? Starting to make sure your employees understood that whether it's an investment from your company or investment for them personally, or their time or money, every bit counts, and how you emphasize that with your employees.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, you don't have to stand there with, everybody knows what the giant check looks like with your logo on it and the organization's logo. I mean, that is fun, it is important, but I think one of the more important things that you do, because it serves two things, is, you show up. We get lots of comments from organizations that say people love to give us money, but their teams don't always show up to participate in the activities. And that's one of the things for us, as all of the filters that we use to select the things that we're involved with, one of those things is we want the experience for us, for the organization that we're supporting, for the employees, for the people that they're supporting. It's important for it to be a good experience. Again, building peace of mind is what we try to do, and that's how you do that, is you show up, you have fun with your team.
Right, so selecting it, not just because you think it's important, but letting your team be a part of the selection of that was one of the things you talked about.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I love that. And we've kind of shifted our mindset away from just writing checks to organizations, right? Because a lot of the smaller nonprofits, the money's helpful. You need the money so that you can provide the services for the people that you're serving. But we go a step farther than that. We say, okay, yes, we'll write the check, and how else can we serve you? Do you need board members? Do you have days that our team members can come engage with you and volunteer with your organization? What other type of support can we provide you as an organization? We're a larger organization, so we have more resources. Instead of just writing the checks, how can we be present? How can we really help build your organization and help you better serve the community?
Love that. If you guys have heard me speak, you probably heard me tell this story. 3 frogs sitting on a lily pad. 2 of the frogs decide to jump. How many are left on the lily pad? 3, because deciding to jump and jumping are very different things, right? So what you heard Mike say, you just got to get started. You have to rethink it, really just go after it and make it meaningful. And I think a lot of times we talk about what we want to do, but really getting started in a meaningful way becomes so important. So I also think a lot of times you can grab a key takeaway through an example or a story that's happened. I have so many running through my head right now. Quint was backstage giving an example or two. He's a great storyteller. But let's kind of shift to impact stories for each of you. If you had to share a story or example of how your organization's been impacted by your commitment to community investment, what really comes to mind? Kara?
Yeah, I'm going to start with a mistake because I love talking about all the things I've done wrong. And it occurred with Landrum. Landrum's a 55-year-old privately held business that started here in Pensacola. And with our long history and with our founder, we had a reputation of being involved in every single thing we could be involved in the community. And give whatever it was, we're going to give to everyone that asked. We're going to try to figure out how to, and that really was the definition of Landrum for a long time. Like, how do we touch every single thing we can? And as we started growing and we started evolving as a business, and the next generation of Landrum, Britt Landrum, took over as CEO, he kind of came and said, hey, I want to challenge this a little bit. How can we refocus how we give and contribute to the community that really is purposeful for us as a business? And it was a hard decision for us because it meant changing some things about the way we'd done business in the past and even who we gave to, and saying no to some organizations that we felt like didn't fit our mission and our purpose. And the entire point was to be more impactful with what we could do. Where we made the mistake is we didn't message that as well as we should have internally to our employees and even externally to the community. And so there was some backlash, and even our employees saying, hey, who are you guys? Like, you used to give to all these things, and now, our animal shelter isn't getting the $100 you used to give. And so we could have done a much better job as a leadership team getting in front of that. And now we're on the other side. And I think our employees feel really connected to the impact that we're making in the community and the fact that we're being very purposeful with our giving and our connections. But I think just making sure, if you're sitting in a seat where you're making a strategic decision around that you are communicating really well on the why. Because it's a place to fall down, and it can hurt your culture if they don't understand like that path that you're going down, either both internally and externally.
Yeah, I agree with that completely, Kara, sorry. And that's exactly what I was going to say. One of the things I think for us that really leveled up how we gave back was we started to be more intentional. And just like you have a mission for your business, it's also, I think, important to have a mission for what you want to do in giving back to the community. So we have created a set of filters that we look at things that we want to participate in, because the more you do it, everybody knows, the more people are going to come to you and say, we want you to be involved with us. And unfortunately, there's just too many great organizations in this community that not one organization, except for maybe Casey and Baptist, can support everything. So,
No, we can't.
yeah, but and even they can't. But again, for us, it was what's most important to us and what's most important to our employees. And so we have a list of things that we look at these opportunities, and it's helping kids, helping those less fortunate, helping. We love law enforcement, we love sports, and then who doesn't love dogs? So.
And how did you establish kind of the vetting for that? What was your process to go through to make those decisions?
I would love to take all of the credit, but there's a very smart lady standing over there named Lisa Longlighter with Red Iron Design who helped us. She really sat down, and she's so good at vision planning, not just with us as a company, you know, our overall strategy, but again, how we get involved in the community and how we communicate our message. And we just started having conversations. And you put a list together and you look at it, and that's what you roll out with in, you know, week one, month one, year one. And as you go every year, you're looking at it and it's evolving, and you're like, I like this, I didn't love this, maybe we try something more here. And it's just never ending. But you just got to jump.
And you got to get resources to help you if you're not the person to do it, right? And that's what really Mike just said, you know. Hey, I didn't have to create this on my own. That's the benefit of a session like the last 2 days, is you should be networking with people and taking notes or ideas around who could help you with that. Casey, what about Baptist?
So like I've said, we're continually improving our process and the way that we approach community engagement and community impact. And we really tightened it down into 3 focus areas that are really the 3-legged stool of healthy communities, and that's financial stability, healthcare, and education. So every organization that we support needs to fall under one of those focus areas, or unfortunately, it's not something that we're able to support. We also have identified target populations that we want to make sure that we're impacting. And Sarah Lefevers here on my team helps me with this. And we use those as our guide to help us decide what types of organizations that we are able to support. One thing, because we like stories, right? One thing that I'm super proud of that the Baptist Healthcare Foundation has done for many years is we, for over 20 years, have partnered with C.A. Weiss Elementary School. How many of you are familiar with C.A. Weiss? Okay, good. So for those of you that aren't, every single child that attends C.A. Weiss Elementary School lives at or below the federal poverty level. And as the crow flies, C.A. Weiss is about less than a mile from our former Legacy campus. And so the kids that attend that school have some really significant challenges in their lives, as do the teachers and administrators. So we support C.A. Weiss year-round, but at Christmas, we do something really special. Departments within Baptist Healthcare adopt every single child and classroom at C.A. Weiss Elementary School. The foundation, through our annual team member giving program called Helping Hands, provides the funds so the departments can go shopping. And then the teachers at C.A. Weiss give us a wish list for the things for the kids in their classrooms. But what we see on these wish lists every year, it's not a lot of wishes, it's needs. I need a jacket. I need a pair of pants. I need socks. I was sitting with a little boy last year, and he opened one of his presents, and he looked up at me with the biggest tears in his eyes. He was so excited because he finally, at the age of 7 years old, had his own tube of toothpaste. Never in his life had he had his own tube of toothpaste. Now, we get him fun stuff too, but we realize we're connecting needs in these kids' lives, and they're not opening every present that we bring because we know there's not going to be anything else on Christmas morning. This has nothing to do with healthcare. This is because we at Baptist, we care deeply about our community, and so we want to be creative about the ways that we are approaching support and really engaging with the members of our community.
Yeah, and I think even for people that are in the audience that, you know, you're not in a leadership position, you may not be in a decision-making seat right now as to how you're how you're giving or what that looks like for your employer. You know, I think I have an example, and this happens all the time, and we try to say, hey, passionate employees are really so critical to our business. And sometimes people bring things into us. And we had an employee that got really involved and excited about Ready Kids, an organization that prepares people for kindergarten, right? So that, and we were able to really tie that into our mission, right? Because if you're preparing for kindergarten and you're ready, that means you're going to be able to go through school and be focused on education that can prepare you for the workforce and be part of this workforce transformation. So, and she was so passionate about it, Melanie was, so we said, hey, get on the board. Yeah, spend your time doing that. Let's host a fundraiser here at Landrum in our space and be able to support you. And we didn't know about that organization, and she brought it to us, but it really fit our mission, and we were able to embrace that as a business. So I just encourage all of you that aren't sitting in a seat where you get to make this decision for your employer. Your employer may embrace your passions, and it's worth it because it also puts you in a light as an employee to really, for us to see like, wow, they really care, right? They're passionate, and probably that passion translates to how good you are in your role.
Yeah, it also shows you listen as leaders, right? So obviously we've got other topics we could talk about. We want to make sure we're getting to anything that's top of mind for you. So are there any questions or anything you'd like the panel to address? Yeah, thank you. Oh, not you? Do you have a question? Oh, Mike.
I was being really loud.
Okay.
How can organizations with a large remote workforce encourage their employees to get involved? Hello? How can organizations with a large remote workforce encourage their employees to get involved in their communities individually?
Great. Carol, I'm going to...
Yeah, we are at Landrum, we are all almost totally remote. We have an office here in Pensacola, and so the people that live in Pensacola are encouraged to come in, and we bring our teams in. We now have a small office in Greenville, South Carolina, but we have employees across the country, and you know, we're working on this. I won't say that it's perfect, but in my mind, it's all about connecting into purpose and supporting employees, and also as an employer, setting an expectation that, hey, we want you to be involved in the community, because as a small business, that is the value that we bring, is that we live and work in these communities and that we want to be invested in them. So if I have an employee sitting in San Francisco, which we do, or Houston, Texas, you know, I want to be able to have conversations with them about how do the things that you care about connect into our mission, and how can we support you? And that won't always be we're writing a check for every single employee for a charity that they want to lead, but maybe it's time, right? Like, hey, we're going to make sure that you invest your time, and by the way, take pictures, because we want to connect that on social media to who we are as a brand. And not only are we supporting you, but it's a partnership, because you're showing who we are as a brand, and if that's why people choose us for who we are, is our people.
Yeah, and I'd say there's probably a couple different ways you could approach it. I'm not sure if you're remote here in Pensacola or if they're remote all over the country. But, you know, if they're remote here in Pensacola, what we've done at Baptist is we've created monthly opportunities for our team members to join our serve team and come out and volunteer with us in the community, right? So even if you work at home, you can come join your team, your fellow team members, and be a part of the serve day. To Kara's point, if your team members are remote and in another part of the country, maybe you can come up with some type of policy where you're encouraging them and you're saying, hey, giving back to the community is a really important part of who we are as an organization. So I encourage you to take 2 hours a month and go volunteer with an organization that fits your personal passions and how you can go out and make a difference. I think it's just encouraging and talking about it on a regular basis.
Start your meetings with connect purpose moments. You know, get someone to tell a story, share an example. Here's what we did. Here was the impact. And then make sure as leaders you're kind of supporting those things as well. That's an easy, simple way to do that. Other questions? Thank you, by the way. It shows you guys appreciate your question very much.
What about like solopreneurs or businesses that have like less than 5 employees, let's say? I know y'all are talking about setting the vision first before, you do anything like that. But if you have plans of building the business larger, like, is that something that small businesses should even be thinking about at this point, putting energy towards? And then if so, like, how do you do that?
Okay, he's not going to be in this category long, I heard, but since Small Business Leader of the Year was right here on the stage, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Give it up for Mike.
So that's a great question, and again, back to what Kara said about, there's no act that is too small for any type of community involvement that you're talking about. Really, I think what launched us when we were starting is trying to create synergy with both the organizations, the nonprofit organizations that we were working with, and then the other companies or partners that were working with those same nonprofits. And so what that means is finding people, like-minded businesses, other entrepreneurs that have a similar passion and mission to give like you do, and seeing what you guys can do to come together and bring a serious amount of, we'll just call it manpower, to show up to some of these events. One of the things I don't think we talk about enough is the organizations are trying really hard to accomplish what their goals are with not a lot of resources. Every one of these organizations that we work with are strapped thin and have to make tough decisions every day on who gets helped and who doesn't get help. Being there as an entrepreneur to support them and just cheerlead them and encourage them and say, I see what you're doing. I can't tell you how grateful we are for what you guys do, what your team does, all the people that you're touching. And again, it's getting out there, listening to their stories, telling their stories on your platform. When you start talking about them on your platforms, guess what? They start talking about you on their platforms. And same with the other organizations that we partner with. We partner with tons of other companies that are not in the same industry as us, because we can tell their stories and they can tell ours. And it just becomes a synergy within the community that benefits everybody. And that's, really what I see for the future of community investment for us, is having the conversation. Sitting here and talking about this is one of the most important things that we can do. And talking about what you're doing to support the company on your social media platform, to me, is more important than talking about what you do for business. Because I have more conversations every single week about all the things that we're involved in that's not about what we're building. And to me, it's the most awesome conversations we can have.
That's great. Anyone else?
Yes, sorry. Right here. And this is a question for all three of you, because I think you all will have different perspectives on this, but you all have essentially mentioned finding staff that meets your goals, your values. Even I think one of you shared that, we find that and then we skill you up, and that's great. But how, something like that seems so subjective. How can you actually find staff that meets that's in the short amount of time, I guess, that you have to actually interview candidates, right? How do you make that something that is not so subjective that it's kind of based off vibes, for lack of a better phrase, right? And I'm just curious, each one of you probably have a different perspective on that, but I can say in an interview, yeah, everything that you guys stand for, I stand for, but how do you truly know that, right? So just curious.
Oh, I love this question. And I promise y'all I don't know him, and that is such a softball, because we're in the people business. But, how you hire is so important, whether you're one employee about to be two, or whether you're a Baptist with hundreds and hundreds of employees. And how you make that connection in an interview process is one of the most important things you can do as an employer, because I always talk about with everyone we interview at Landrum or with our clients, you are entering a partnership, right? It's not just about what this company is going to do for me as an employee. I need to expect that the employee is going to do for us, right? And it is a partnership, it's a marriage. And so I have to be able to ask the right questions in an interview that gets to the heart of their behavior and their experiences. because that's where you really learn about someone. That's where you really build a connection. And it is so critical that your teams that are interviewing understand and know how to do that. And even today, look, we make hiring mistakes all the time. But we do the best that we can to make sure that anyone coming into Landrum understands our expectations and understands that partnership. And then and I'm going to use, so Cole, sorry, your mom told me you were going to be here. Cole's a high school student. His mom texted me and said, hey, Cole's really interested in being an entrepreneur and thinking about owning his own business. So I'm going to buy a ticket for him to go to Entrecon, which is very cool, by the way, and your mom is awesome. But the other thing that I did when I took a picture out in the lobby is Cole's been here, and after this last conversation with the speaker that was amazing, he went up and introduced himself to the speaker and talked to her. And I just happened to be standing there, and I took a picture of it, and I sent it to your mom. But here's the thing. I would hire Cole tomorrow. Just from what I saw of him in action, that shows me the kind of person that he is. And I've probably said 10 words to Cole our entire lives, right? Like, I know you, I know your mom. So that's the other piece of like, how do you spend time with someone that you're interviewing? And we're all on Zoom every day, and I get it, and we have remote workforces, and we're all across the country. But as an employer, we've made an intentional effort. We're going to meet someone in person before we hire them. Because that's still, that time to like sit down with them, have coffee, have lunch, have a conversation is so important. You knew I could talk about this all.
I know, and this is a great topic. Here's a practical thing. Don't ask someone in an interview, what would you do? Ask them to tell you what they have done. There's a difference. It's easy to talk about aspirationally the things you believe in and what you think is important. Ask them to give you an example of how they've driven impact. Listen for the alignment to the things that you care about. Mike?
Yeah, and I think that's important when we talk about values, is values can't just be words, they have to be behaviors, right? I mean, it has to be tangible. What does this look like in practice? And it doesn't just have to be at work, it can be outside of work, but that's what's critical. One question for you, did you send the photo to his principal? Is this an excused absence day for being here?
I hope this is excused.
I think for us at Baptist, we reward and recognize our team members on a regular basis for living our values. And how are you exemplifying and showing others how we live our values every single day? We start every single meeting at Baptist with what's called a Baptist Way moment. And someone gives an example of a team member or a patient or a family member. Somehow we have interacted with them and we're living the value of excellence. You're living the value of service. And this is what it looked like, and this is what it felt like. We had a leadership directors retreat, was that just last week? And I was able to provide all of our leaders with an opportunity to live our value of compassion. And we talked about how the federal government, how the furloughs, the shutdowns, the stop of the SNAP benefits is really impacting our team members. And you think about, these are team members that make $14, $15 an hour. They struggle every single day. So we gave our leaders an opportunity to live our value of compassion, make a gift to the Baptist Healthcare Foundation so that we can provide food cards for our employees that are in need and help them get the food that they aren't able to purchase right now. And so that's just one example of how we encourage our team members every single day to live those values. Be an owner. You treat something different when you own it than you rent it, right? You wouldn't take a rental car and get the oil changed. We want our team members to act like owners of Baptist. If you're walking down the hallway and you see a piece of trash, pick it up. That's your job. You own this place. You are a part of our organization. And so we give the team members specific examples of how they can live our values every single day.
Are there any more questions? If not, a couple of things I thought would be helpful for the panel to share with you from our breakfast conversation. Anything else, though? Mostly want you to feel you've got your questions answered. Okay, So, and we're running out of time, guys. We knew this was going to happen, right? Mike, I loved when we were at breakfast and you were talking about what you've learned from social media in this whole purpose and values, vision kind of conversation. The session we heard right before ours, she touched on it. So would you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and I mentioned, I think, a little bit in our previous, answer. But for us, the message we changed, and Lisa helped us change our strategy completely on social media to stop really talking about ourselves as much. And we still, you got to have a little vanity. You got to talk about yourself some and tell all the great things you're doing. But we really started talking about the organizations that we were supporting. And what it does is it starts conversations with other organizations, and it also gives us opportunities. One of the things that is, I think, of biggest benefit to us as we've gotten more involved is the opportunity to serve on some of these nonprofit boards that we work with. And the relationships that we develop, everybody in here knows how important networking is. I promise you there's no better networking opportunity than at nonprofit events. Whether you're on the board or you just show up, you're dealing with people that obviously are like-minded like you, but they care as much about helping other people as they do themselves. And those are the types of people that we want to work with, and it should be the same for you as entrepreneurs, as people that want to see you succeed. And so, again, our strategy is one of synergy. So it's talking as much about other people and other organizations that are doing good things as it is about us. And again, I cannot tell you how many wonderful conversations that I have with people saying, hey, Mike, I saw you guys supporting, the Sheriff's Foundation. Hey, Mike, I saw you doing Radiothon at Sacred Heart. Whatever it may be. And to me, that's the most fun thing to talk about. I mean, I'd much rather talk about that all day. We could go on and on, all of us. So.
Yeah. The other thing I remember hearing when we were talking about how do you kind of use and think about growing your business by investing in the community. When this topic came up, I thought about Kara and Landrum because I had participated in some sessions in their space. And I started thinking there's a real connect to their brand and their purpose in some decisions they've made just in the building they're in. And so I'd like you to talk about that a little bit, Kara, and how you've really utilized that in the community.
Yeah, I like to say that our space at Landrum is a physical representation of our brand. And we had an office off Davis Highway for decades that we shut down at COVID, and we had other offices across the country, and we shut them all down, and all our employees went remote. And during that time, we took the time to say, okay, as we emerge out of COVID, what does this look like for us, and how does it reflect the employer that we are, and how we want not only our employees to see us, but the community. And we decided to move downtown because we wanted to be kind of in the heartbeat of Pensacola and be physical sign of how invested we are in the community. And we created a really open space in our building, and it's full of light, and I think it's full of opportunities to collaborate, not just amongst ourselves and our teams, which we bring our teams there from all across the country, and they do that, but also the community and hosting community events in that space where people can see the reflection of who we are as a brand based on what we're actually doing in that space. So that was really important for us, and it's been just amazing how much our employees say, like, hey, I feel really connected into Pensacola now. Like, we know a lot more about businesses that are around because we get out and we go walk to lunch, and we see people, we see our clients. And so not everybody can be downtown, but I just think about like that physical connection into the communities you serve is really important, and there's a lot of ways to achieve that. But that also goes to how your employees feel connected into you as an employer too.
Okay, so we just got this sign that our time is running out, and I ask you to be taking notes and thinking about like what are one or two key takeaways. I'm going to go back to the office and try to really consider or implement. So I shared with our panel, I wanted us to do the same thing. I mean, we've listened to each other, we've been having discussions, we obviously get energized. As you think about, Casey, like one key takeaway from even reflecting on what you're already doing or maybe what you've heard others share, what would you say?
I think the most important thing in this work, which I think you've heard from all of us and you've seen, is this isn't work that can be assigned to someone that doesn't have a heart and a passion for it. If you don't truly love your community and you don't want your community to be a better place, you will never be successful in this space. So find people that you see that have a passion for doing this type of work and get them to join you. I think it goes back to what we said, hire for culture, hire for values, skill set after that. When I was interviewing at Baptist, I asked the leadership, does it make you nervous that I know literally nothing about healthcare? And they looked at me and they said, not at all, because we have seen you in our community and we know we can teach you the healthcare. We can't teach you what's in your heart. And so go find those people and bring them in to be a part of that team and that work.
Yeah, that's really good. And, at Landrum, we talk about the fact that Landrum is not a nonprofit. We are a for-profit business, and that means that we want profit for our employees. We want them to be successful. We want our clients to have profit. We want to have profit as a business, but the profit is a result, is an outcome of our purpose. And so the less we emphasize profit and the more we emphasize purpose, and I say even individually, and I would tell an entrepreneur or small business, people choose you to do business with you. Your growth becomes out of you, who you are as a person, and you can become a really large employer, and I still believe that to be true. And so I think the more you lean into purpose, just professionally and personally, the more success and growth you will see, and I've definitely seen that in my own life.
Yeah, I said it earlier, but I really mean it. I think you have to just start. And even if you're doing something right now, I think I would challenge every single one of you, and I even challenge us every day, is what more can we do? If you can only give a little, give it. It still makes a real difference. If you can only give your time, give it. Get your employees involved. Whatever it is that you can find that's important to you, I promise there's organizations out there desperate for your involvement. And tell that story, partner with them, be proud of what you do. Because it's a great thing. We need it for this community to continue to grow.
Purpose and profit go hand in hand. I love that comment that Kara just made as well. I was reminded from listening to all of these panelists that you can do good things if you are not communicating them to your team, communicating them to your customers, communicating them more broadly, whether that's through social media or your own internal communications, you're missing a tremendous opportunity. So as you go back and think about the implementation, the execution of it, in the way you're communicating and sharing, I was just reminded from listening, becomes so, so critical. So don't forget that aspect. That would be a key takeaway for me. And then we just want to thank you. As we've been talking, you've seemed so engaged in the conversation. I have a sense that you want to take something meaningful and go back and do it, and we appreciate that, because what we really wanted our time here with you today to result in is that we're building businesses that matter. They matter for you, they matter for your employees, and they matter for this community. So it's just a tremendous opportunity to talk about why purpose matters. So thank you all very much for having us.